Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what hour you're in. Please open your books to page 543. Page 543. We're on Lesson 2, Complementary and Supplementary Angles. So please grab a highlighter or a pen or whatever materials you need. We are going to be taking some notes. And we're going to look up here at the essential question. This entire chapter we're looking at how does geometry help us describe real-world objects. And our key vocabulary for today is complementary and supplementary angles. And a new math symbol is this right here. You might recognize angle 1, but when we have an italicized M in front of it, that doesn't mean M times angle 1. Excuse me, that M means the measure of. So we would read this, the measure of angle 1. So if we wanted to say that the measure of angle 1 was equal to 90 degrees, we would write measure of angle 1 equals 90 degrees. Okay, so please make that note here. Okay, let's look at our real-world link. Engineers use angles to construct bridges. The Golden Gate Bridge is created by combining angles shown. What types of angles make up the two angles marked in the drawing of the bridge? So what kinds of angles do you see marked here? Well, hopefully you can see that both of these are right angles. There's a right angle here, and then there's a right angle here. So please complete that. These are right angles. And if you remember, right angles are 90 degrees. So if this is 90 degrees and this is 90 degrees, what is the sum? Sum means we're adding. What is the sum of the two angles marked in the bridge? Well, 90 plus 90 is 180 degrees. And I showed this a little bit yesterday, but if you'd go back up to this diagram, when we talk about adding two angles that are right next to each other, think about if we were to start over here, and if we were to rotate here, and then if we were to continue and rotate down to here, notice that all together we're making half of a circle. We're making a half arc or a straight line. So that's how we can visualize sum. In the space below, draw a figure that contains two angles that have a sum of 90 degrees. So could you do something similar to this? This shows two angles that have a sum of 180. But what if we wanted them to add together to be 90? And this is just a sketch. But if there was one angle, how much more do we have to have the next angle so that it equals 90? So if you could please make a sketch that looks something like this. And then we want to show that the whole thing is 90 degrees, so we would put a square here, meaning that this plus this equals 90 degrees. So fill in some values that this could possibly be. So if this is 40 degrees rotation, how much would this have to be? Okay. All right, let's turn the page. Just want to reiterate, be sure whenever we're doing video lessons, you can pause at any time, you can rewind, whatever you need to get the information. Okay, so these two illustrations get us to the big keywords for today. Today we're talking about complementary and supplementary angles. And the pictures we just drew are exactly these two. So two angles are complementary if they add together to make up a 90-degree angle. So notice in this drawing, the entire thing is marked with 90 degrees. We have angle 1, sorry, up here, angle 1 and angle 2. And the way we would represent that is we would say the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Okay, so let's write in some examples here of what this could be. So let's say 30 degrees plus 60 degrees equals 90 degrees. That's one possibility that these two things could be. So complementary is when the two angles add up to be 90 degrees. Supplementary is when the two angles add up to be 180 degrees. So here's our picture. So please draw in these arrows. So if we rotate angle 4 and then continue on to rotate angle 3, it makes up a complete straight line. And we know that a straight line is 180 degrees, so we would say the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4 is 180 degrees. So again, let's put in some possible values here. So if angle 3 is 40 degrees, what would angle 4 have to be to make 180? Yep, 140 degrees. Okay, these two words are crucial that we memorize. Complementary, you have to remember, is this situation. Supplementary is this one. And over the years, we've done little games or different ideas for how to remember this, and I'm going to show you a couple. See if whatever connects with you will help. The first one, for complementary, notice that it starts with a C. And if you look at this picture, doesn't this look like the corner of a room? So C for complementary, some kids realize that that looks like a corner. And if they realize a corner, they realize 90 degrees. Supplementary starts with an S, and supplementary makes a straight angle, a straight line. So S is for straight or supplementary, or 180 degrees. So there's two ways that we've come up with that. Another thing that somebody came up with a while back is that if you look at the C and if you look at the S for complementary and supplementary, with the C, if you draw a line, do you see a 9? And then they realize that's 90. And with an S, if they connect the two, they see an 8 and they realize 180. So that's another connection. Another thing people have seen before is that if you look at a C for complementary, and then if you look at an S, do you see that really an S is made up of two C's? One C, two C's. So complementary is half of supplementary. So if complementary is 90, supplementary is 2 90s. Okay. However that makes sense for you, you need to be able to connect complementary with supplementary. Okay, let's go down here, and we're going to start identifying pairs of angles as complementary, supplementary, or neither. So in this example, these two angles happen to be adjacent, but they also make up a straight line, so that would be supplementary. This next example, do these two angles add up to be 90 or 180? Well, since they add up to 90, that makes them complementary. And in this case, these two don't look like a corner. But if we were to rearrange and take this angle and move it up here, do you see that if we put the 30-degree angle where the 60 left off, it would make a corner? Okay. All right, please pause the video and answer these questions, and when you've got them done, you may restart. Okay, please check your work. A is neither supplementary nor complementary. If you look closely, this doesn't add up to a completely straight line, and 85 plus 90 is not 180. Okay, here, if we add 75 plus 15, we get 90, so that makes it complementary. All right, let's look at the top of the next page. We're going to use these definitions to now solve some problems using angles. So if you look at the picture for example 2, always want to focus on what is given. Well, the first thing that jumps out to me is this little square. That square means that this entire thing is 90 degrees. So I know since this entire thing is 90, I notice that there's two parts that add together to get 90. So we would have the equation 28 plus 2x equals 90. If you look back at the picture, this rotation of 28 degrees plus this rotation of 2x degrees gives us a total of 90. And take a minute to notice our two-step equation that we did last chapter. Subtract 28, reset, and divide by 2. Okay. Looking at example 4, notice that the way these are set up, if we were to slide this back over here, this angle plus this angle makes a straight line, so that's supplementary. So we get the equation 123 plus 3x equals 180. And then we solve, and you can follow through the process for how they solved here. Okay, so let's look at Got It question C. To find the value of C, first of all, you always want to look at what's labeled. So I notice this. So that means that this angle right here is 90 degrees. I also notice that 90 degrees plus these other two x's makes up a straight line. So if this is 90, doesn't this over here have to be 90 so that the whole thing adds up to 180? So if these two things have to be 90, x plus another x is 90. Now we add like terms. X plus x is 2x, and divide by 2 to get x equals 45. Okay. All right, please turn the page. If you look at these scissors on example, or Got It question D, it says find the value of x. Well, with these scissors, notice they drew in this line. So this is showing a supplementary situation. This angle plus this angle equals 180. So we're going to set up our equation. Equals 180. And then we're going to solve. Okay. What I'd like you to do right now is I would like you to look at the guided practice, questions 1 through 4, and I would like you to complete all 4 of these and fill in the rate yourself. When you've got those all done, please bring your book to me and let me star it and make sure you're good to go. And then you may begin in the assignment guide your lesson, which begins on page 547, independent practice. And I don't have an assignment guide right in front of me, so you can reference that for the specific numbers. And enjoy your afternoon.